Welcome, everyone, to 24/7 Sports. I'm Tom Loy alongside the 105 guys. We've got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and National Analyst Cooper Patagna. Signing day is right around the corner, so we're looking at 2025 recruiting classes all across the country and bringing fans a look at their soon-to-be signees. We're going to hit a few superlatives and clearly state our take on a lot of these prospects. Today, we're looking at Texas. The Longhorns currently have the number 6 ranked recruiting class in 2025. And there are 21 commits set to play for head coach Steve Sarkisian. Andrew, we will start with you. Give me an early draft pick potential kind of guy, somebody with elite traits and somebody that might see their name called early in the NFL draft in a couple years.
Tom, I've spent way too much time writing about this individual, so I might as well just use all that research right now. Jonah Williams, the number 1 freak for me in the class of 2025. This guy is one of a kind, dealing with an injury now as a senior at Ball High School. Shout out Mike Evans. That's where he played his prep football. But through 8 games, 14 for 206, 7 rushing, 6 receiving touchdowns, 28 tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, an INT, and 2 kickoff return touchdowns. Kyle Hamilton, Isaiah Simmons, Malachi Starks, Chad Jones, the late Chad Jones. Those are all names that have been come up as player comparisons for Jonah Williams. He's just one of one. You know, where do you play him? Is he safety? Is he a linebacker? I don't think it matters. He's a chess piece on the defensive side of the ball. And I think NFL scouts are going to be drooling about him one day.
I've tried to do the opposite of what Andrew has been doing for this series, but I can't. Like this category, early draft pick potential, we have this guy in the top 10, one of the best players in the country, just a unique athlete in Jonah Williams and what he can do. And Andrew talked about the safeties. You know, it wasn't too long ago where we thought, all right, maybe he's going to be a linebacker. Maybe you can rush him off the edge. I think everybody tends to agree that this guy is kind of just unique, rare, what he can do on the back end of the defense. And as much as we want to move him closer to the line of scrimmage, he can hang. He can hang in the deep third. He ran in the low 4.5s. You know, this guy is pretty special and unique with what he can do. So run, cover, hit, play downhill, can do all those things. Drew mentioned the kick returns as well to start off his senior season. I'm going to go with Jonah Williams. He's just one of those guys that I think is going to defy a lot of the rules and basic principles of scouting and evaluation, but certainly somebody that I expect to make a lot of waves early in college football.
A lot of waves and a lot of money. It's a clean sweep. Jonah Williams, simply put, he is a guy that I would not want to bet against. Baseball could prevent him from being a day 1 pick in the NFL draft, but there's just too much talent, too much athleticism, so much skill. I think he's going to have an incredible college career. Day 1 impact, a guy who will see the field early and often. Cooper, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Lance Jackson. You know, you got his brother over there, Landon Jackson in Arkansas, who's got a pretty good chance to be a day 1 draft pick this year in the NFL draft. Lance Jackson is one of those guys, the more you watch, the more you like. Blue-collar player, tough, effective, off the edge, and a guy that's really technically sound, knows how to get home, and I love the motor as well. So you talk about a football player with all the attributes to go with it. That's exactly Lance Jackson. I think Texas has an embarrassment of riches there, obviously, with the way Colin Simmons is playing. Lance Jackson, very much different of a body type, but I expect him to be on the field early. I just think he's too good to keep off.
I think you could put Jonah Williams in this category. Look, I love me some Michael Taff, former walk-on safety, wrote about it recently in the CBS Sports Talent Tracker. But Jonah Williams, just a little bit more there athletically. I'm going to go with tight end Nick Townsend. Look, Texas is going to lose Gunnar Helm, Juan Davis at the end of the season. We know Amari Niblack's there. Likely, I could see a scenario where the Longhorns go into the transfer portal. But Nick Townsend, he's another kind of guy that's just a freak utility man. He's caught 2 touchdowns. He's ran 4 touchdowns. He's thrown a touchdown. He's blocked 2 punts in the first half of his senior season. He's out there playing quarterback. He's kind of hurdling people. Reminds me a little bit of Trey Burton, who was at Florida. The Gators wanted him to take some snaps, ended up being a tight end in the NFL. I also think you could put Michael Terry, the 5-star, that athlete that's also kind of a tight end, H-back projection. You know, Texas leads on the 24/7 Sports crystal ball. So I think when you look at the roster, you look at the recruiting class and who could be a part of it, I think a tight end has a chance to potentially play in 2025.
I'm staying on the opposite side of the ball. I am going with receiver Jamie French, the guy, every time I expect something great out of him, he never lets me down. Very few college-ready, more polished receivers in the entire country at the high school level. He's the real deal. He may not blow you away, testing data, things like that, but I do think he is. And elite receiver, catcher of the football, and I think he's going to have a great career at Texas. Boomer bust, an intriguing guy who might outperform or potentially even underachieve at the next level. Kind of a mystery. Ivans, who do you got, man?
I got Myron Charles, a defensive lineman out of Port Charlotte, Florida. And I want to be honest, I've kind of come around on it. He's got green specs, 34.5-inch arms, over 6'4", but I've always kind of questioned the buy-in from him. I think things have clicked here as a senior. You're showing more effort. You're seeing the motor. He's got rare agility, lateral quickness, but at the same time, 3 sacks over his last 18 varsity games. So I think he's one where if he shows up at Texas, right, and he is wired the right way, he has all the potential to go, day 2, day 3 of the NFL draft. At the same time, though, I could see a scenario where he washes out. And I've been pretty spot on with these guys that have gone to Texas. Peyton Kirkland, DeAndre Robinson, kind of had the same concerns with them. And they both made short exits in Austin. Hopefully that's not the case with Myron Charles.
All right, this one is going to be a little bit of a surprise, and it's more cold water on it. But I'm gonna go with a 5-star. I'm gonna go with Khalil Lockett. This is a guy, at least personally, I'm kind of in wait and see mode in terms of what we'll see at the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. And the reason I bring it up is because we were just absolutely spoiled with really legit talent last year in the 2025 receiver cycle. So what those guys look like. And this would go for Caleb Cunningham as well, who's committed to Alabama. So I'm really fascinated in him. The other thing that came up that I remember with Khalil Lockett, it was really hard for us to kind of find a player comp for Khalil Lockett in terms of who he kind of relates to on Sundays in the NFL. I want to know, is it going to be more TJ Moore, who dominated that setting in San Antonio, or is it going to be more Brian Wesco, who we came away with more questions? I'm not saying the floor is falling out on Khalil Lockett. I just want to know, all right, is this guy a bona fide top 32 dude that we're going to ride with, or is it going to be a guy that could be a day 2, day 3 guy? Either way, legit talent, good athlete, going to be a good player, going to do some really, really good things in that offense. I'm just trying to get a better feel for where he's kind of at.
I'm going with tight end Nick Townsend. It's kind of similar to when we did Miami and talked about Brock Schaub. My only issue is he an offensive guy, a defensive guy. I like him a lot on defense. I know Texas likes him on offense, but the guy with that speed, he's going to be a matchup nightmare at tight end. I'm just curious to see how his career plays out in Austin. Diamond in the rough, a 3-star prospect who could surprise a lot of people, have a great college career, and maybe even find himself drafted. Cooper, who do you got, man?
Well, I'm going to go with John Mills out of California, big cat, over 6'6" and 300 pounds. Is he going to be a tackle? Is he going to be a guard? He's kind of one of those slow-footed guys. You kind of like him in a power scheme in the run game. But, I'll bring up another question. I kind of struggled to really kind of find a guy that I liked outside of the top 247. Now, Texas does a tremendous job with their top-end talent. They got 12 guys inside the top 247. But outside of it, there weren't a ton of dudes that I loved, and especially that offensive line class kind of makes me scratch my head a little bit with what they're doing there with Kyle Flood. So John Mills, I can get on board with that big body, functional athlete. They're going to have to develop this kid, but out of the ones to choose from, that'd probably be the guy that I bet on.
Okay, my guy's not a 3-star prospect, but there wasn't a ton to choose from. I'm going with Dalen McCutcheon, and he is the number 3 ranked wide receiver in this class behind Khalil Lockett and Jamie French. I think I'm a little more bullish on him than some of the other people on the 24/7 Sports scouting team. He's an inside zone coverage beater, really polished, capitalizes on his catch and run opportunities. I can talk myself into a scenario where he actually outproduces Khalil Lockett and Jamie French. Does that mean he goes higher than them in the NFL draft? Certainly not, but I do think he's going to be a very, very good college player in that Steve Sarkisian offense.
I am going with running back Ricky Stewart. There's just something about the guy I like. He's productive, tough to bring down, kind of makes it look very easy. One cut kind of guy, very little wasted motion, good vision. I think he's going to have a nice college career. But that wraps it up. As I said before, we're going to hit a bunch of schools leading up to December's early signing period. But for Andrew Ivans and Cooper Patagna, I am Tom Loy. As always, stay locked to 247sports.com.